come alive. D&D with A&G.
Welcome to D&D with A&G, everybody.
One really gets me hyped.
Me too.
Look, when this thing takes off, I'm just like, how long is it going to take for some artist to come and sue our asses because AI totally stole something that's illegal somewhere?
Yes, that's true. Well, once we get all rich and famous, we'll pay a real human people to play and write a song, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Make it happen, listeners.
Make it happen. Only you can make it happen,
This
listeners.
is about you guys. This is the most important thing happening in America right now.
How are
Speaking
you, Jenna?
normally Amy and I have been meeting on Sundays, but this is Monday. This is Monday before the election. So
Yes, it is.
It's a lot going on right now. And if we're gonna hopefully put this out there relatively early tomorrow, so if people are having a stressful day, they can listen,
Yes.
get their mind off of everything that's happening.
Right.
While you're waiting in line to vote, just put it.
Yes, that's an excellent time to put on the pod.
Yeah, so
But we want it to be sort of relevant, right? But like keep it bit funny but relevant, right?
yeah.
So what topic did we pick to do that, Jenna?
So for our D&D alignment chart this week, we're doing states, like of the 50 United States. I'm putting United in air quotes because y'all see what's happening out there.
Too true, Jenna. True.
Which I think is going to be a really interesting topic.
Yeah. I agree.
So in case you haven't, this is episode 5.
Episode 5, still alive.
Still happening. You were like, what? Why is this a thing? It's still happening. Just a quick refresher. We take the D&D Dungeons and Dragons alignment chart, which is a 3x3 chart, so a 9-grid chart. And we take a different theme each week, and we put Amy and I separately put whatever that theme is, we put it into the alignment chart, and then we discuss our picks week to week. So we can kind of talk about the chart as we go through it. But Amy and I have no idea which states we've chosen or even how we've chosen to fill out our charts. So that's part of the discussion, and we're glad you're here to listen.
Yes, thanks for joining. We always do a double blind, don't we, Jenna?
Here
we're very serious scientists, so you know, we stick to all the guidelines. Okay, Jenna. So since now that we have our Instagram, remember, check us out on Instagram, D&D Wang. Since we now have our Instagram, we're not gonna like go too much into the charts because we're gonna let y'all do that on Instagram. So we're just gonna hop right in. We're trying to get to a tight hour, y'all.
We're gonna try. So Amy, tell me how I think you got to your consistency in your grid faster than I did this week. So tell me a little bit about your method.
Okay, well, it's gonna sound familiar. It depends on the square. I once again have been very chaotic. There is no rhyme nor reason to why I did it. So yeah, pretty random over here. What about you, Jenna?
So I started with just like basically just general prejudice I have against states.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And that felt a little too personal. And so then I kind of went a more political route, and I was like, okay, all of the blue states are good, all the neutral states are swing states, and all the evil states are red states.
Oh, wow, I love this.
And I do have a chart filled out with that as the method, but then I thought that also seems a little limiting in perspective. So I ultimately did a second chart that is a little less polarizing, and that my chart is based on weird laws in each state.
Yes. Can I just take a second and shout out the effort, the hours logged for this episode, Jenna? She didn't just fill out one chart. No, she filled out 2 charts. This is the love we put in this for y'all, the listeners.
So much love. So much love.
Yes.
I do think, oh no, actually, now that the way I've done it, we don't have to do that. I was thinking that we might need to go vertically instead of horizontally.
Oh, I see.
But
I was going to suggest that we just jump straight to chaotic evil, but with your because I was assuming we were gonna have the same one, but maybe
Well,
with this
honestly,
new
everyone
one.
I've talked to about this, as soon as I told them we're doing states, everyone says the same thing. And
Yeah,
that
of
is where it
course.
landed on my original chart. So I know what you're talking about. You don't need
Okay.
to say it.
Okay, we can
It's
go. We can vote.
Florida. Everyone
Yeah.
knows Florida's chaotic evil. It's chaotic
I
evil.
mean, give me like it. That's like it was made for the alignment chart. The state of Florida was made for the alignment chart, and it is in chaotic evil. So,
It's
but
like
we can
say
get it.
no more. It's the same thing when someone says, "Oh, the Joker is chaotic evil." You're like, "Oh, that makes so much sense." Yes, yes, yes. This
Right.
is a quintessential
Yes, that's right.
example. And
That's right.
Florida is chaotic evil.
Yes, yes. And you know what? Go dogs.
Right. In my original
Hater
chart,
haters.
that is where I had Florida.
Yeah, I love it.
Fun.
So, do you want to start in the regular old spot?
Yeah, we can start in lawful good.
Let's do it. You want to start us off, or you want me to?
You start us off.
All right, happy to. Okay, so my lawful good. I don't for our avid listeners, you'll remember that in our malls episode, I decided that lawful good was kind of a dad placement. It makes me think of my dad, and in the same way, that's sort of the vibes that led me to pick Minnesota as my lawful good.
Oh, really? Okay, tell me about it.
Yes. So not only is hopefully our future vice president from the state of Minnesota, and he has got like mad dad vibes, like real big dad vibes. But also in his tenure as governor, the state of Minnesota passed one of the most progressive slates of policies, maybe, I mean, for in decades at the very least. I mean, who knows? They don't really teach us a lot of accurate American history, I don't think, because there's been a lot of populist revolts they don't tell us about, but I'll put a pin in that. So some of that included wage protection, fully funding school meals for children, largest child tax credit in the United States, voting rights, reproductive rights, policies about clean energy, policies that protect gender affirming care, and do a ban on conversion therapy. So this week, I'm actually loving my lawful good. Lawful
Yeah.
good is an incredible space for me this week, and it is because they are using laws for good, and also the dad vibes are palpable.
Yes. Oh my gosh. When Tim Walz was chosen as Vice President Harris's running mate, just the people doing the dad memes with him was like so heartwarming. And like I've never seen people get so fired up about a vice presidential candidate. It was
It's true,
lovely.
actually. Yeah. And I do want to say, look, am I the biggest fan of the Democratic ticket? No, I'm not. But at this point, I'm like, I would prefer the future that looks like. But anyway, we can talk about that another time. So Jenna, what did you place in your lawful good?
You can talk about it anytime you want. I actually have 3 in here, but I'm going to go with my favorite.
Ooh.
So I ultimately did my chart based on weird laws in states.
Love it.
It's all just from one article. So if I read one article and have placed laws and states into categories.
Efficient.
So
Efficiency.
don't come at me if you're like, that law doesn't exist anymore, or you got the backstory on that law wrong, or whatever.
This is for fun, guys.
But my favorite of the lawful good was so Wyoming is my state that is lawful good, and it's because they have a law that is in buildings that cost more than $100,000, you must spend 1%, I believe, of the cost of that building on art that is displayed in the building. And it was, I don't know how they're thinking, and I don't know if that's like private homes count. I don't know.
I love this.
But it is in support of the arts, like that. It was a law that was started in support of the arts. I'm assuming it's like public buildings only, and they're not making this law in people's homes. But I think
that would be hard to enforce. But you know, I love the support for the arts. You know, I mean, we should also one time talk about complementary currencies, only because, you know, with art, it's so hard when everything is so commercialized to just be like an artist and live as an artist. I would think, like, you know, I'm not one of those people, but we all suffer for that. You know what I mean? So I love the contribution to the arts. Great pick.
Wyoming, I don't know if you're still doing that, but if you are, kudos. That's a good one. Okay, so neutral good then.
Oh, we love this category, except for what did they call it last time? It was like nice and boring.
Boring but sweet.
Ooh, sweet is even kind of worse than nice, I think. Like, oh, they're sweet.
That's the best because then it has true neutral is just boring. Like I feel like they could have come up with like not repeating boring into, but whatever. It's like that's the writer in me. Okay, so for my neutral good, I'm gonna go with Oregon.
Ooh.
Oregon, they have a law that it is illegal to go hunting in a cemetery. And it just seems like that's a neutrally good law.
What?
Like I think that that's valid and a good thing. And I don't think it's hurting anybody disproportionately and probably the right choice. So
Okay, but I have a question. Isn't hunting in a cemetery just like shooting fish in a barrel?
Anna,
Right.
too many horror films for you and me.
Ooh. I like
Um,
that's a good that is I love it. Incredible. Love that it's still on the books. I guess a deer or two clomping around the cemetery. But you know what else? The whole world's a cemetery.
I did think, honestly, as soon as I recorded it in that square, I thought there's going to be a day in the post-apocalyptic future where you have to hunt in the cemeteries because that's the only green space left. So, like, anyway, which is also why I want to be cremated because I'm just not interested in whatever's going to happen with future Earth when they need that land back for better use.
Oh, I think you're onto something there. Cremation feels like the way to go. Start donating your organs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Take whatever's good.
Take it, but not much might be good.
There's no promises.
Excellent pick. Love it.
What do you have for neutral good?
For neutral good, I have picked Hawaii and Puerto Rico.
Ooh, the islands.
Because I feel like, and they, this is a pick that could also have been probably in chaotic good. But Hawaii and Puerto Rico, because they're not like they're breaking, quote unquote, breaking the rules of like, white supremacist colonization, of their lands, like, and all this in terms of like maintaining cultural identity and sort of pushing back and being like, fuck you, to the United States government, which is completely deserved. Puerto Ricans can't even vote in the United States elections, and yet are governed by their laws. And so I appreciate that there's a lot of protests. Protest is like sort of, unfortunately, I guess, built into a lot of, or from the outside looking in, seems like a big part of the thread that sort of holds those communities together. And I think that that's pretty badass. And yeah, there you go.
I love
And
that.
fuck Donald Trump for calling Puerto Rico a whatever he called it. It's not even worth repeating. We shouldn't even probably repeat it.
It's not worth it. And in fairness, it was, I mean, not in fairness, it
Not
was a
him,
comedian
right.
opening for him, but he didn't correct it. He hasn't been like, I'm sorry, that's not fair or representative, because of course he hasn't. And why,
Right.
it is really disturbing. And I am, Puerto Rico should be, and I am also so proud of all of the people from Puerto Rico who've stood up and raised their voices against that, like Bad Bunny and Jennifer Lopez and Ricky Martin.
Yes.
Dope as hell.
I love Bad Bunny.
Use your celebrity for good. Like get out
Yeah,
there.
I
Cardi
agree.
B, yes, all of it. Is she from Puerto Rico? No, I'm not. No, I'm worried that she's not
No,
one.
I think she's at least some I think she has family from Puerto Rico. She
Anyway,
is
nope.
so funny, dude.
She's hilarious. She's
She-
hilarious.
So hilarious. I love Cardi B. I think she is hilarious.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
She's also
Megan
a
Thee Stallion is
Libra.
awesome. I'm so glad we got over the phase of hip hop, like black female hip hop artists having to be like, oh no, we can only have one at a
Right.
time. And if we
Right.
have more than one, they must be rivals. Like, I'm glad we finally like moved past that era and we're like, oh no, like black women are ruling hip hop and rap right now, and it's dope.
Incredible.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
really good shit coming out.
Um,
Megan Thee Stallion, incredible.
Okay, so take us to chaotic good then.
Okay, so chaotic good. This was my choice for chaotic good. So at the time of this recording, Hurricane Helene is pretty in our pretty recent past, and was very devastating to many people. And I know some folks who live in Western North Carolina, and that was an area that was hit especially bad. And it's not necessarily it's like folks who are like working class folks, you know, live there. And I've seen a lot about how like mutual aid in that community has really like the communities are coming together and helping each other and digging each other out of the mud and bringing supplies in. There's this one article I found that's I've linked to in my chart that the headline is how queer Appalachian mutual aid showed up after Helene. And basically it starts out saying like how is it that 5 queer DJs were able to get more supplies more quickly into Western North Carolina than the federal government or state authorities. And because it was basically like, these folks are from the community, it's their community. They're like, this is us, this is our family, these are our people. And so they came together, and mutual aid is, you know, really what's gonna save us all, really. And I just think it's a very cool, I mean, it's tragic, but also beautiful how like the communities are really coming together. And the possum is the state animal. What more chaotic good can you get than a possum?
Possums are amazing.
I'm
It's
so
actually,
glad that you agree, because
oh yeah, I love a possum.
some people are either afraid or disgusted by a possum, and I'm sorry, but both of those are wrong. Possums are adorable. Possums are sweet. They only hiss at you when they feel threatened.
I love any animal that's instinct is to freeze because it's like that is also my instinct. So
Oh, I
I
love it.
like immediately drawn to them. We're just both frozen and now no one moves. That's nice. I mean, honestly, I mean, I know I'm sure you felt this being from Georgia and having so many connections there. I'm in South Carolina, and and even though Charleston has seen plenty of hurricanes, none nearly in not since I've been here, devastating like Helene was to Western North Carolina. But watching yeah, the community's support, like so many local businesses here became drop-off locations for people to donate supplies and then driving them up. Because it feels kind of like a one of the closer mountain destinations, I think, to here. So a lot of people love it. I mean, the love for that area and the way people have shown up for it is cool to watch. It
Yeah.
makes you not feel like maybe we're all
Right.
totally the absolute worst.
Well, and to be honest, being in a really big city like Los Angeles, it makes me sort of feel like, wow, that's like it's amazing to have that kind of community in this day and age. You know, I feel like it gets harder and harder and harder to find and build and maintain and foster that type of community. So I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Chaotic good and also possums.
And also possums. Um,
You, Jenna.
I am gonna go with South Dakota.
Oh, tell me more.
South Dakota has a law that it is illegal to sleep in the cheese factory.
Okay, first of all, outrageous. Outrageous.
Like at first you're like, come on, why can't people sleep in the
Right. After you eat a
factory?
bunch of cheese, you want to take a nap.
But apparently it's related, it's really about operating the cheese factory machinery. It's being behind the wheels of cheese.
Behind the wheels of cheese. You know, that works in multiple ways. I like that wordplay.
um, that is dangerous. So they had to outlaw that. But apparently there are places you can sleep. It depends on what you're doing. They had to get specific.
No eating around no sleeping around the cheese.
I also like the way it's worded. I mean, I didn't pull it from the law, so maybe it's worded differently in the law, but the way the article worded it is in the cheese factory, not in cheese factories in general.
Oh,
It's like in the only cheese factory in the state, no
a
sleep.
very specific place.
Right.
I love that. Here you shall not sleep. There shall be no sleeping.
So to me, it's like, it's just in general feels a little bit like a chaotic law, but maybe with good intention. Like, why did we need this law? Is this what's happening at the cheese factory?
You got to keep those cheesemongers safe.
Maybe give your human labor more breaks, or have them work shorter shifts, or don't let capitalism turn us into things that need to fall asleep behind the wheels of cheese.
Seriously.
And but also, if it's dangerous for them, I understand what you're doing.
This isn't a wheel of cheese. This is a wheel of life, the life wheel, and you will never leave. You will be shackled to this wheel. No breaks for you. Yeah, no, I think that's a good a good chaos. A good chaos pick. Excuse me.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'll keep us going
Keep us
on our
going.
weird laws we're on lawful neutral. So lawful neutral is what last week Amy and I agreed is the worst place on the grid,
Yes.
because we think this is like someone who just follows the laws because they're laws and they don't even care if the outcome's good or the outcome is bad.
For sure the worst space, right? I mean,
I think, yeah, I think so. You could make
the evils are obviously bad, but like
right, but at least they have
following-
like a plan.
right. Well, and again, guideposts. Like if you'll just follow any laws somebody gives you, you're very dangerous.
Yeah, it's the sheep of the board.
The sheeple.
So I'm unfortunately gonna have to give this one to Tennessee.
Oh no, Tennessee, go dogs.
In Tennessee, it's illegal to share your Netflix password.
Ugh.
It's like, come on, Tennessee. Is this what we really need to be dealing with? Is this it? Is this what our tax dollars need to be dealing with? Netflix passwords?
So Tennessee's police is basically just like Netflix's like enforcement arm.
Like, I'm sorry, like the Memphis 5 is like murdering real humans.
Right.
And we're dealing with Netflix password infringement.
Because listen, private property, including profits, are the most important thing, Jenna. I really thought I had kept this. This was going to be light, but it was never going to be light. It was never going to be light. I will say something. I had Tennessee on my chart at one point in chaotic, neutral good because of Dolly Parton only.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
But
She carries a lot. I considered doing a chart just by the most famous person in the state. It did cross my mind, but
and literally the only person that I would do that for is Dolly Parton. It's Dolly
she's
Parton.
amazing. She's
She's
amazing.
incredible. I love her. But Tennessee, like, come on, that's a great pick because what the fuck?
That's stupid. This is dumb.
That's
Solve
dumb.
the real problem.
Yeah, solve some actual problems, not Netflix's profits. Thanks very much.
Oh no, I need to be recording yours. Okay, I'm gonna have to get you to send them over to me. I can probably remember most.
Oh yeah,
Go ahead.
I can send them to you. Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble for this if certain of my cousins are ever listen, but my lawful neutral pick is Alabama. And go dogs. The reason that I picked Alabama is, well, it was the worst state for women in 2015. It's banned abortion. And not only does that, but also is one of the states that has been found to provide the least amount of care to families. So it's like,
I think I also saw on a chart, I didn't get to the bottom. I don't think they allow any kind of early voting.
I'm sure that's true. I mean, that sounds true. That sounds right.
Which
And
is
you're like, Amy, why is this not on your evil? The reason is I had other ones I wanted to put on my evil. And also, like, I'm thinking of them as traditional, like textual biblical people, textualists. So they are just sort of like, the Bible was given to me. These are the rules that I'm following. And even when they, the end result is like internally incoherent or inconsistent or is harming the people that we were supposed to be helping, like that doesn't matter. Sort of like what you're saying, the outcomes do not matter. The only thing that matters is the rules, and the rules that were set out by whatever fucking Chad wrote the King James version of the Bible. I guess it was King James. Fuck you, King James. Okay.
My gosh. I think that's a very valid pick. I think it's hilarious that it slid into neutral just because
Yeah.
something edged it out of evil. So it's
Yes,
just barely hanging on in neutral.
that's right.
Um, they would have been near there on my original chart, certainly. Okay, take us to true neutral.
True neutral. I'm giving so that true neutral again is just like, I mean, I don't know. It is what it sounds like. I don't know why I was gonna launch into an explanation of that. Remember when I read it the other day on the website? Avid listeners will remember this. And it took 2 sentences before they even said anything other than true neutral. So whatever, it's true neutral. Um, my pick for true neutral is Maine
Oh,
because
okay.
I feel like in Maine, no, they 1 minute they're like on certain issues, they're like leftists. And then on other issues, they're like fascist, and you never can tell. And it's not like one presents in one way or and yet they all look like they're dressing the same. They're sounding the same with the accent. And I think they're like very okay. Yes, I'm painting Mainers with a broad brush, but I very much like Maine. One of my favorite you know authors slash celebrities, Stephen King, is from Maine, and not only is from Maine, but chooses Maine as the site for many of his novels. In fact, maybe all of them. But anyway, so I like Maine. I like the independent spirit, but it is also just feels to me like they are truly fucking neutral. I like the creepy vibes. I like the turtlenecks. I like the lobsters. I think you just don't know what they're going to do.
Honestly, in my original chart, I was just going through states and starting to place them as I went through. And I would get to like, oh, I don't know, like Maine. And I'd be like, yeah, Maine is I think lawful good. And then I'd get to like Connecticut and I'd be like, oh wait, maybe it's Connecticut. And I would put, and then it's like by the end, it was just basically all of New England because I don't know any of those states from any of them.
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
Rhode Island, also there, like all of the, I was like, New Hampshire, yes, definitely that one. Like I've never really been, and I
Yeah.
want to go. It seems very charming, but
You know,
I can't keep one of them apart from the other. They
right.
could
They're
all
all
fit
kind of
into like Cobb County, so I'm like very confused by them.
really true. I could skip New England. Man,
They
I could
seem
skip.
cute to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So many white people.
That is true. Um, okay, so my true neutral is Arizona.
Oh, the state of John McCain. Tell us more.
Um, in Arizona, it is illegal for a donkey to sleep in a bathtub. And this one did have a very specific story with it, which is that there was some sort of farmer who his donkey was accustomed to sleeping in the bathtub. And then there was a terrible flood, and the donkey and the bathtub were rushed off. And it took a lot of townspeople a lot of time to save the donkey and the bathtub, presumably. So then they made it a rule that that wasn't allowed anymore. A dam broke. It was a dam broke and it washed the donkey in the bathtub away. Which, okay, so all of that is to say, I mean, true neutral. Like,
Can't
hey,
believe that is not chaotic.
what are the odds of this happening?
That is a very good example of a law being passed as a result of a very specific situation, and at the time, probably a very small place. Listen,
Yeah.
we can't let Ted's donkey get all the way across town and everybody's got to get up and go out and dig this donkey out of the tub. We just can't do that again, Ted.
It
I
just
love
like
this.
from a law standpoint, I mean, the situation's chaotic, certainly, but
That's
it's
true.
like, it's kind of neutral. It's
I
like,
love
it's just kind of like, okay, I guess so. Sure.
Oh, that's
I mean, I feel
amazing.
honestly a little bad for the donkey. Like he probably was sad he didn't get to sleep in bathtubs anymore.
Or he was like, thank fucking Christ, my idiot of an owner can't put me in this bathtub anymore. This is no place for a donkey.
God. I don't know.
I
I guess
love it.
that's part of the neutralness of it.
Incredible. Incredible. I love it. Your approach is like great. Way less downer than my approach. I feel like.
We'll
Sorry.
wait till we get to the evil.
Oh gosh. Yeah, truly.
Um, okay, I will kick us off on
Yes.
chaotic neutral. Okay. In Connecticut, speaking of New England, a pickle must be able to bounce. And this one also had a story associated with it, which is apparently there were two pickle farmers who were accused of selling bad pickles. And so then the lawmakers were like, well, how can we tell if a pickle is good or not? And they decided that in order for a pickle to be quality enough to be sold, it has to bounce. And I think that's chaotic because then you can only sell pickles that have been thrown onto the floor. So it's just like a law that in itself ruins the pickle. It's just
Okay.
like, it's like the Magi's gift of laws. It's like, well, now it's good, but you can't eat it because you just threw it on the floor.
Okay. I have so many things to say about this. Number one, you know I'm going to be going to the fridge later and I'm going to be seeing if the pickles in my refrigerator bounce. Number one. Okay. Number two, I didn't even think about the fact like you have to test every pickle that you sell.
I guess maybe they had test batches of them or something. And
Like
so
a
maybe
little
it's okay.
and like what type of ground of floor are we talking about? Do you know what I mean?
Only.
Like a you know a wood floor is a lot bouncier than say a concrete slab. What about carpet?
What about carpet?
This is an incredible pick, Jenna, and I feel like the name of our episode is in there somewhere. What you were saying, we'll have to. I'll go back and check the transcript, and I think that that's where the name of this episode is.
The Magi's gift of laws.
Holy shit! The bouncing pickle will be the image.
Because if it didn't somehow resemble a dick or a vagina in our episode photos, what are we even doing here?
I know. I put a little E on all of our episodes. We're explicit.
It is, honestly, that's true.
Yes, yes.
What is your chaotic neutral?
My chaotic neutral is Alaska. And it's because I feel like that's where people go to hide out from the police.
Do they?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. I don't know where I heard that from, but but it seems real. Maybe in some of those true crime things I was listening to, it was talking about how like Alaska's population is very transient and there's a lot of seasonal workers and things like that. So it's like conducive to like running off from a crime. So
Interesting.
that's literally the reason that I put it there was because I feel like it's basically like the Australia of the United States. The penal colony. Other than, of course, the native people that live there.
Right.
Don't get me
I love that pick. I could think of a lot of reasons why. Australia. Why Alaska? I mean, like the sun, like lack of sunlight.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of
I don't know.
things
What do you think about that? Could you do that?
No, I can barely do losing 1 hour.
Honestly, what the fuck? Daylight savings. Didn't we all agree that we
I
weren't going to do this
thought
anymore?
Biden did it. I really did. I swear he did it.
And this is my shit with the government. They can't do a goddamn thing. We just want to not fall backwards. Look at how dark it is. It's horrible.
And it's like literally we agree on nothing and
Literally.
we all agreed on
Yes,
it.
that's right. That's right.
Like, let's start from this one place of unity
Oh,
and see what we can build here.
oh my God. Should we start the daylight savings party? And that's our one policy on our platform. And then we can grow it out. You know, it's strategic. We'll talk about it. Let's put a pin in that.
I love that. The daylight savings party is genius. Genius.
And like it's a one issue party and it's in the name.
Okay, I think you keep it going
Okay.
to lawful evil.
Okay, so this is kind of when like I was saying chaotically. This isn't technically a state, But I picked the Electoral College. And the reason that I picked the Electoral College, first of all, I feel
First of
like
all, say no more.
right? Right. Because in a lot of people, and this is no shade, and this is not me being like, oh, look how smart I am. Like I went to law school for fuck's sake. So I like people don't necessarily
Fuck off. She went to Georgetown fucking law.
oh what well, you know, oh God, law school shudder. But like but I learned, you know what I mean? Like you learn this you learn this shit. You learn all about this shit, right? So I don't when I say this, it's not with an expectation that people should, but like a lot of people don't actually even understand what it is or like why it was created or how it operates or things like that because it's like, oh, you just assume that United States is a democracy. One person, one vote is literally a Supreme Court decision that's supposed to be, you know, but whatever. I'm going to put a pin in that. But popular vote is not what selects the president. And we know this because like the last time a Republican won a popular vote was like 35, 40 years ago. I don't know, before, maybe even before that. I should have looked up those stats before this episode. But the whole thing with the Electoral College, way back when, in the olden days, when those enslavers were starting the United States, it was about like, okay, look, we're from states that have a lot fewer people that live in it, but we don't want your higher population cities to have an outsized impact on who gets elected. Like we're rural folks, we got all the farmlands and things like that. So city folks, but also do not forget, listeners, what else was going on at the same time? Well, enslaved Black people were only counted as 3/5 of a person. But and also they were counted for in order for the electoral votes that the states got. So they could not vote, but they were added up. These enslaved people were added up as 3/5 a person each, and that counted towards the southern states' electoral votes. So part of it was to placate the South, the enslavers in the South, because they had all these people living there, but none of them could vote because they were enslaved Black people. So they were like, what we're going to do is we're going to count as 3/5 a person, and we're going to let that be counted in the Electoral College. So that was absolutely a part of why the Electoral College was formed. To me, that's all I need to hear. Like, why are we still doing this shit? I mean, I get that there's like different needs and whatever of rural states and more, you know, states that don't have those rural areas. But like at this point, it is, for example, I live in Los Angeles County. I think there are more people that live in Los Angeles County than live in the whole state of Georgia. But it does have a lot of electoral votes, but also it would have more influence, but for the Electoral College. Like one person, one vote is not true if you live in a big city. If you live in a big city, or excuse me, in a state that has a high population, you are not getting 1-to-1 for your vote. If you're like one guy in Wyoming or you know, out of 500 that are voting, but that's creating all of those electoral votes for Wyoming, you're getting a way outsized influence on the election than somebody that's living down the street from me here in Los Angeles County.
Well, it's also, I mean, you and I are in states that are have opposite ends of this problem, but like
right.
if it's one person, one vote, and I'm in South Carolina, the state votes red. I'm grateful to be in Charleston, which is a pocket of blue within the state, and I'm glad for it. But when it comes to like where our electoral college is going, we're going red. And it feels like it doesn't matter if I vote or not. I
That's
go
such a
and
great
vote
point.
anyway.
That's
But if
such a
it
great
was
point.
one person, one vote, I feel like my vote matters more because it's going to this general
Mhm.
population. And you, even though you're
Yep.
in a state that is aligned with your view, it's still the same thing. Like it doesn't really matter if I go or not. The state's going blue. So I think it would be more motivating to a lot of people in those non-swing states to get out and vote. I think their vote would feel more meaningful to them.
Right. Well, and that's a really great point. And it's interesting that you bring that up because that was also one of the reasons that they implemented the electoral college was because they were trying to protect against mob rule. They were scared of true democracy. And also let's remember who they were, right? They were land owning enslavers of human beings who didn't think women had any rights, thought that anyone who wasn't white wasn't even a person. I'm being very general here, but we know that these things are true. So like why the fuck those people that were implementing the electoral college wouldn't want either of us to vote. Like we wouldn't be like at that point in time we couldn't vote.
Right.
Anyway, I just say fuck that. It's there feels like there's a clinging to, you know, and it doesn't just show up here, but also in the Supreme Court textualism kind of shit that we're clinging to a document that was like is immoral. And so why are we doing that? But
Yeah, when people start throwing the fucking founding fathers around, I'm just like,
crazy,
I
bro.
cannot with this bullshit. They would not, this is not like I'm not like oh, they're the best thinkers or whatever or anything. They're self-interested men pursuing their continued right to power or access
Yeah.
to power and whatever, but they were at least smart enough that like if they were alive today they wouldn't say that
Yeah.
nothing should have changed. Like I
No,
do
of course.
mean that about them. So
Well,
it's
you
just
know what
so
I think?
dumb.
Do you know what I think would be their the thing that they would think is the craziest? Even keeping their whole, like, let's say they hold the same values as they did back then, and we dropped them into the United States today. And I have no reason to say this other than this
Automatic weapons.
is to the Second Amendment. I
Yeah.
think they would be like, y'all are fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
did you really think that we meant that each and every person in the United States should have a weapon of mass destruction? And even if you don't want to talk about it like that, but it is. I mean, when you can
Yeah.
kill, 36,
No,
what was
it's like
it?
they
Las
weren't
Vegas
even, they
was
couldn't
like
even
60 people.
imagined that
No,
technology. And
they were
it's like if
using
you watch
muskets.
someone, load a musket, it
Give
takes
me a break.
40
Yeah.
seconds and then you might be able to get one person. It's like absolutely insane. It makes
Yeah.
zero sense.
No, if you dropped them with their same, they would be like, oh my God, they're insane.
What have you done? What have you all
What have
done?
you done? Okay, sorry, I'm gonna get down off my soapbox. I was like, oh, this will be a nice light podcast. We're gonna
I
be
think
standing
we're
in
doing
line to
pretty
vote.
good. I didn't bring up. I've stayed away from. Honestly, I think we're doing great. Okay, I've got a nice light one here.
Oh, perfect.
I actually had 3 in this group, and I'm gonna go with the one that I think fits the category the best. So this is lawful evil. It's Louisiana.
Ooh.
And apparently in Louisiana, it's illegal to send a surprise pizza. And I think that's absurd.
That's
because
horrible.
well, first of all, no one's ever sent me a surprise pizza. I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen.
You
But
know
I
what, Jenna?
would be
I'm gonna
so
send you a
mad.
surprise pizza.
I'd
Okay.
be so mad if someone was trying to do this nice pizza surprise for me and got arrested because it's illegal. That's mean.
Think of the joy that they're robbing.
From people.
And what happened? That they were like, oh, we got to make that illegal.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's considered harassment. It's like, so it's like, it was probably some very bad boyfriend, honestly.
That it's always a bad boyfriend.
Damn it.
It's
Brad.
always a bad boyfriend, Brad. God, I love it.
But yeah.
I think I love that you found these like very absurd.
Well, I'll give you one more for this.
Yes, please.
In Nebraska, you can't get married if you have an STD, which is extremely problematic.
That's very invasive. Like
It's
you have to
very
take
fucked up.
I mean,
maybe it's not maybe it's not the law anymore, but it
How
was.
do you enforce that? Like you got to go in with them and watch them.
Yeah, it's really
like,
gross.
How do you even?
And there's like nothing, or I think we call them STIs now, so it's like whatever. But like still, it's like, first of all, if you taught sexual health appropriately in public education spheres, we would lower the incidence of STIs. If you gave people access to ways to use protection and have safe sex and stop just preaching abstinence like to a bunch of fucking weirdos, that would be helpful. And then trying to punish people being like, you can't get married is not going to help your STI rates, because no one's going to be like, guess I just don't have sex for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's not what's going to happen.
No.
Fucking Nebraska.
You know what happens when you teach abstinence? Kids start fucking their couches.
Among other things, honestly.
Oh yeah, right. More dangerous things. But also, you know what happened here? This was a guy who got married and some lawmaker who got married and his wife had herpes and he got herpes, and he was like, "We got to make this a law. I want her to get arrested." He like called the police, and he was like, "My wife gave me herpes," and they're like, "Sir, that's not a crime." And he was like, "Well, it will be."
Running for county council.
Exactly. That's his single policy platform.
Oh my God. The
And his name
daylight
is
savings
J.D.
party's
Vance.
coming for you,
Yeah, totally.
Harold.
Totally. Harold. JD.
Um, okay, so I'll kick us off into neutral evil.
Do it. Do it.
Um, okay. I'm gonna go with Pennsylvania.
Oh, interesting. Tell us.
And this one's very personal to me. In Pennsylvania, you're breaking the law if you pay a psychic, including tarot readers.
Excuse me. What happened to free market capitalism?
Like, what? It's just like so clearly baked in religious fear.
Yes, God.
Control. And it's like very gross to be like, oh, you can do this here, but you can't be paid for your work or expertise or anything. And fuck off.
And these are the same motherfuckers that are paying $75 for a Trump Bible.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Pay your psychics. Come on. They gotta eat.
And
Y'all gotta eat. We got bills to pay.
and paying to erect statues of football coaches who run pedophilia rings. So
Jesus, seriously, guys.
are the tarot card readers the problem? Are they the problem?
I don't think so.
Are we doing that? We're not doing that.
That's a great one. And, ridiculous. Hate that.
Ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. Okay, neutral evil, I'm reminding myself the motivation that I saw that I like is gain. And so I picked DC because to me it's neutral evil in that like they don't even follow the laws that they set. And they do it like specifically to like gain and power and influence and money. So like the actual people who live in DC that are like from DC, which by the way is like a very like a lot of Black people live in DC, are residents of DC. None of them can vote. Like, or at least, they don't have like representation in Congress is what I mean to say. That is a voting member in Congress is what I mean to say. So they don't have like, that's what I mean. Excuse me. Let me be more precise with my language. They don't have a voting member of Congress. It's in their literally their license plate is taxation without representation. And I love that about DC because they're like, fuck you. Like, and it's in DC, it's such there's like a very sort of stark dichotomy of like privilege and power and poverty. And so to me, it's just like offensive that these like lawmakers are there and they're doing their thing, and literally like right down the street is like really intense poverty, and those individuals don't even have representation in Congress. And so like that's to me offensive. And also I just as you probably can tell, listeners, maybe I am chaotic because I hate the laws. But also, I will say my notes are powerful / poverty, don't have a voting member in Congress, offensive, and then, but big brown bat, because the official animal of DC is, I'm going to share my screen.
Is
This
it called Big Brown Bat?
It certainly is.
No, it's not.
Big brown bat, baby. And look at this adorable, creature.
Cute.
Look at those teeth.
Okay, that's not the one I would have said is cute. Like that's fine.
I love, honestly.
I mean, that one looks like the Quiznos sub creature.
This one here?
No, the one you just had with the T. We have a pepper. Like, do you remember that commercial?
Oh, you gotta send me that. I have no recollection of that.
We love the subs. It's like these weird little.
Okay, we'll definitely send it to me because that's something we'll definitely put on our Instagram.
I was like aloe vera in college, I feel like.
I really don't love Quiznos, but I do love big brown bats. So I say that about DC with a big but, which is I love the official animal. Hold on.
Oh my God. That's a great pick. And that is absurd. All of that's crazy.
It's insane.
Okay, well, tell us, what is your
right.
chaotic evil and why is it Florida?
It's Florida. And I already knew it was gonna be Florida, and also go dogs, Gator hair. But then I was like, okay, but let me just do an experiment. So when I was doing my and I actually put the date that I did this. I literally just Google searched Florida news on October the 30th, 2024, and these were the first things that came up. Florida teen with machete arrested for voter intimidation at polling place was the first thing that came up. The second one was judge continues to block Florida from threatening TV stations over abortion ads. And I looked into that a little more, and the state of Florida Surgeon General sent a letter to TV stations in Florida telling them to stop running abortion rights ads, asserting that it was false and dangerous and that the broadcasters could face criminal prosecution. It's so like, give me a break. And then there's also the whole Florida man thing that we all know about already. Like, have you ever seen that thing that's like, look up your birthday in Florida?
Yeah.
It's like, which
Yeah,
actually
my most recent one, I mean, you can do it all the time because it changes
do that.
every time you have another birthday, but my most recent one was like, Florida man shoots and kills iguana, cites stand your ground law.
Okay, I have to say,
Or use a
though,
stand your ground defense or whatever.
I have to say, I respect that, though.
That's not allowed.
Okay, and then the other thing is this Thrillist travel editor, who lived in Florida, told Newsweek, Florida is where bath salts and Creed and the Great Recession all got their starts. It's where Donald Trump has chosen to hang out for 7 solid weeks during the past year. I mean, come on. So there you go.
You had me at Creed, honestly.
Can you take me higher? Good.
Oh my God.
What's yours? I can't wait to hear yours.
So this one is never mind. I won't even. It's Vermont. It's Vermont. Because
Oh.
in Vermont, it's illegal for
Uh-huh.
women to wear fake teeth without their husband's approval.
Listen,
Let me just tell you, that's not okay.
listen, Dolores. Why are you getting all all painted up? Who you trying to look pretty for, Dolores?
Don't let your husband tell you what your teeth can look like when you walk out the door, ladies. If he tries, run.
Where are those teeth? Where are those teeth with pride?
Run, join the daylight savings party, and we'll get you to safety. We're also railroad.
We're welcoming in all women who they're tired of asking their husbands whether or not they can put in their dentures, And you know what? We're the party for you.
I honestly we're gonna go there. We're going there. I said I wouldn't, and I'm doing it. One of the most disheartening things about this election to me as a woman is how it has turned men against women. And how that's been a narrative, especially coming from the Republican Party, to suppress women's votes, to control women's votes, to tell women that if they don't vote the way their husband tells them to,
so weird.
The same as cheating on your husband, to just tonight at a rally, them pushing, like, we need men to vote because they realize women are tired of men trying to control their bodies and telling them what they can and cannot do with them. We are tired of seeing other women die because they cannot get the care that they absolutely deserve as a human right, as being a human being. And we're going to vote. And we vote in the last, I forget what the stat is, but it's in a significant amount of time, we outvote men. And they're scared about that and trying to control and suppress our vote and trying to turn young men against women. And that is the saddest thing for me to watch.
Yeah.
Is to watch us try to go back to a time where it's men versus women, when for a while we were making some progress.
It does feel like that. Like, feminism is being blamed for a lot of things. And also, like, they're turning first of all, we got to shout out Black women, because Black women are really out there voting.
Oh my
and
God.
voting. But then
Absolutely.
also, like, and women of color, but really Black women are like constantly saving the day. But then also it's turning men against women, and then it's really holding on to these very specific gender norms and roles. And so they're invisibilizing, I don't know if that's a word, but they're basically acting like trans people don't even exist, right? And no, and neither party is good at this, because the Democratic Party, and I think it's because they know that they don't that people are transphobic and they don't want to lose middle votes, but they talk about pregnant women, and all genders can get pregnant. Like, and you know what? Come for me. We can have a whole conversation about it. We can have a whole conversation about it, but gender nonconforming people can get pregnant. And so, they're totally sort of disappearing trans people from the conversation totally. And then you have JD Vance saying like, "Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the regular gay guy vote." Like, first of all, who is that? Like, what are you talking? Who are you talking about when you say that? And also, like, why would a queer person vote for people who are trying to strip queer people's rights away? I mean, anyway, so it's totally a mind fuck. It's totally scary, like what you're saying. I've seen an ad that was like women going to the polls, and they like were voting, and the two women were looking at each other, like, and they're the polls here, and they kind of like gave each other like a wink, and then they joined their like obviously like Trump husbands, and it was like, you don't have to tell him, and I'm like, holy shit.
And
Do
that's
you know what I
Julia
mean?
Roberts narrating that ad.
That is Julia Roberts.
And they have a male version of it where it's like guys that look like Trump guys who are going in, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do the right thing. America, patriots. And it's George Clooney narrating that one. And it's the same concept. But yeah, just basically, I mean, it is like really, it's a sad place that we are in our democracy, unfortunately, that they're like, just do the right thing and you can hide it from everyone
Yeah,
else.
that's
Like, it's pretty
like, what does
dark.
that say about the state of relationships in terms of like what we're expecting? Because that's absolutely like the power dynamic between, again, talking about heterosexual couples, which not all couples are, but there are playing on that really antiquated dynamic of what that specific back and forth is supposed to look like.
But even
And
the all men one is like
yeah,
saying
that's
like,
true.
you're secretly recognizing that this is a bad choice, but you don't
Yeah.
feel like you can stand up to this group of people. I mean, is
Ugh.
that ad is suggesting.
Yeah, right.
I
That'll
mean,
like fuck up
the
your whole
hardest thing
life.
is like barring it's not a full revolution of some kind, like a violent uprising of some kind. The only way that change happens is when people who are in positions of power push for change for the communities that are not. And that includes women, that includes people of color, that includes the queer community, that includes
Yeah.
all of these people. So it's like we need, unfortunately, these straight cis het white dudes to
Right.
fucking get on board. And so it's just like it felt like we were starting to get some support from this group of people that have had this position of power for so long. And then it just feels like the Republican Party is just undermining
Yes.
so much of that and trying to restart toxic masculinity and really targeting the youngest and most vulnerable of this group. Those, I should say, not vulnerable is not the right, it's like easily influenced group
Right.
of men.
Well, and also
And it's
the
just
ones
like
that
kind of
are
heartbreaking.
accessing it constantly, right? So like getting radicalized by YouTube or whatever, their YouTube algorithm.
Right.
Well,
So it just bums me out. Because
no,
I
it's
really
awful.
thought like Gen Z was gonna like, I was like really excited about where they were going in terms of
Yeah.
kind of really busting out of that. And it just feels like, oh no, the cycle's just restarted. And so it's just like kind of hard to
Yeah,
watch.
that's true. I will say there are a lot of Gen Z that are like, badass motherfuckers, but yeah, I know it is disheartening to see the regression in terms of that. And the other thing though, that you were touching on too, that I think is an important note, is that when you're part of the party who is trying to restrict the vote versus like getting more people to vote, like, you have to think about that. What does that say about your party and your policies when you only want a particular type of person to vote? You want to reduce the people that are voting. Like, if people don't want to vote for you, then you should change your motherfucking policies. It shouldn't be that you decide just, like that you narrow the voting pool down. And to me, that was one of the biggest things when I was like, I think making my transition from Republican to Democrat. And now, like, I don't necessarily associate myself with either party because I think that they're warmongering pieces of shit. But like, if your party is like, oh shit, we have to make sure that this cohort of people doesn't vote, like that should raise some red flags to you. Like unless you're just hateful and don't care and don't think that those people deserve to be heard. But like if you really want to be a party that's leading it's not a true democracy, but whatever, as close as we have gotten so far, like why don't you want to open up and figure out like bring more voters to you. Don't restrict the voters that can vote because you just so I think that to me was a big part of like, wait a minute, why don't Republicans want more people to vote? Like that feels weird.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And it's a good thought to consider.
oh my God, what a hilarious episode.
Are you guys in stitches? Oh my God. Well, it is.
Real knee
I've talked
slapper.
to so many friends today, and there is just a lot of fear and anxiety. And hopefully this can either take your brain away from it or make you think about it differently. But we promise we'll be back next week with a different topic.
Yes, we will.
Please like, comment, share, follow us on the Instagram. Tell us which state you would have put. Obviously, y'all
Yes.
are in Florida, but like, you can tell us about the part. And
And
go
tell us what you
vote.
should do. Go vote. Go vote. And
Go vote.
also Rage Against the Machine. You can do two things at once,
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. Love you. I'm talking to you specifically, even though I love our listeners, but I'm specifically talking to you, Jenna.
I love you.